All right, Culture Wars here on Morning Kick Around. I'm Robert. He's Jason, and this segment is literally just titled United States Men's National Team Generational Squabbles. So the beef between former men's national teamers and the current crop continued as the latest episode of the Pulisic documentary dropped. Pulisic and Timothy Weah on the trailer for the new episode calling out the pundits as evil. That's a wild turn of events. So the generational squabbles continue or escalate.
Yeah, this is maybe escalated. I'll tell you what's annoying about this to me here in a second. But let's set the stage by looking. This is the spark that caused this latest conflagration. This is the thing that started the discussion again. It is that, as you said, it's a little bit of a social media post, edited video thing from the last couple episodes of Christian Pulisic's documentary, which is over on Paramount. Here we go.
Most annoying thing, and for me the biggest cop-out of all time, is when, especially, all pundits want to say, they didn't want it. They didn't have the heart. Back in our day, we would fight and we would die on that field.
When we were on the field, there were guys on the field, all over the field, who, if they didn't perform well, their club team probably lost. But there's not a lot of guys who fall into that.
I think those guys are chasing checks, and for me, I just feel like they're really evil, honestly, because they've been players and they know what it's like when you're getting bashed, and those are the same guys that'll turn around and shake your hand and try to be friendly with you at the end of the day.
These guys want clicks. It's social media, it's subscribe to my channels, listen to my podcasts, or whatever.
Don't get me wrong, I respect all of them. I mean, they were players that I looked up to, but quite frankly, the guys before us didn't win anything either.
I think they should look in the mirror and look at their last performances for the national team before they start talking shit.
Apologies for Mark Pulisic cursing on Morning Kick Around, but it gets you the sense of what this is. This to me is all very stupid. All right, not just because it's guys squabbling back and forth and beef between people who have more in common with one another than differences, but also because every one of those things said happened months ago. Rob, they didn't get Pulisic and Weah and Mark Pulisic to sit down yesterday or 2 days ago or last week to talk about this. This is from a documentary that's been unfolding from December, and the last 2 episodes dropped, and they cover up to the end of the Nations League period, right? So we're not even talking about sort of this summer thing that happened where Pulisic bowed out of the Gold Cup duty and it sparked this whole thing, and Landon Donovan goes on television and says, Cristiano Ronaldo shows up for his national team, unlike some other people. And then Mark Pulisic goes on Instagram and claps back at Landon, which I thought was stupid. And then we get, this is like, it's artificial heat in a lot of ways. I'm not saying they don't believe it now or they don't still feel that way. And I wrote this on my newsletter, which went out this morning on this topic. So look for Jason Davis Soccer Eagle if you want to read some words about this. But that's why this whole thing is so very dumb. It's manufactured. This video was specifically designed to get people to watch the documentary, right? Everything is in the service of growing a brand or getting attention, and that's true of Pulisic. That's true of CBS, Paramount Plus, Galazzo, whatever. It's true of Landon Donovan, who obviously featured there. It's true of anybody who is calling out this national team for not having heart or calling out Pulisic for whatever it is.
Yeah, indeed, and it's just a little disheartening that it's continuing to go on. Obviously, there was lots of back and forth over the summer, but it's only going to re-spark that fire now. And this whole last little bit has made me reevaluate Timothy Weah. Before the Copa America, I thought that he was like one of the most professional and well-rounded and articulate guys, but between his red card and Copa America and then using words like calling people evil doesn't sound as nearly as measured as I once thought he was. And just generally evaluating where we are as the national team program, I think this is all still the players and these former players are all paying the price for the federation not moving on from Greg Berhalter after the last World Cup when they should have. I don't think this angst and this whole murky situation that we're in doesn't necessarily play out this way if Berhalter was moved on when he should have been.
I don't know. That's I don't know if I see those connections. I do see this as 100% about the fact that this team hasn't done things that we demand of them, right? Like if this is a team that had taken care of business in the Nations League, or had done had achieved something. Now obviously 2022 is a long time ago. The Copa America, as you said, Berhalter in charge, all of those things. That's a while back. It feels like ancient history now. It's really not, but it feels like ancient history. So they haven't had a chance since then to do anything that would be like, oh, look at them achieving something. But I think this is part of it. And the failures they've had, the Nations League situation, all of that has opened the door for the previous generation or two to take their shots. Again, as Mark Pulisic said correctly, even though I don't think he should be talking and helicoptering his 26-year-old son, I think it gives the opening for people like Donovan and Howard and everybody else to say, well, back in my day, which, by the way, is that humanity has been doing this in every walk of life since the beginning of time. The older generation looks at the younger generation and goes, we did it better. And it's not always true. And certainly there are situations where the world has changed a little bit. Right now, I wanted to bring this in. This is from Pam at 53. Shout out, he's an ultra. Is it dumb? Question mark. It's part of the growth of the game. This is nothing compared to the UK. We should not be chasing what the English do.
They literally torture their players there. People have nervous breakdowns because of the English media.
But I do think, and I saw this in a conversation I had in Blue Sky, Ryan Rosenblatt and a couple other people. Absolutely, this feels like the previous generation of national team players taking their cues from English players of previous generations who have been doing this forever, right? This is the industry in England is you retire as a player and you go immediately into punditry where you take shots at the younger players. That's what you do. And again, I don't want us to be like that. And maybe it is a sign of sort of weird maturation. Maybe it's a sort of like a growing pains thing that we have to go through. I don't know. But again, among the things that annoyed me here, the egregious editing of the video, completely salacious in the way that they put that together. Again, to get their views for a documentary they put money into. Fine. Mark Pulisic's involvement, enough already. Again, I know this happened months ago, and it's probably around the same time that he clapped back at Landon from the television thing, but he doesn't need to be doing this. The hot take culture has eaten the brains of former national team players, Rob. Like, that's the world we live in now. And it is now coming to a soccer context. And again, to draw on something from my Blue Sky conversation with Ryan Rosenblatt, soccer is different. It's not the NFL. It's not the NBA. It's not baseball. It is a different kind of sport with a different kind of fan base and a different level of education needed to understand it and talk about it. And these guys, Howard, Donovan, Dempsey, all of them who have talked about this thing about the younger generation, they can provide insight no one else can. And rather than sort of reasoned analysis or trying to meet those players halfway and understand them a little bit, or give us a sense of what it's like to carry a burden or to be the player or this international situation, instead we get these guys don't care, these guys don't have heart, they don't show up, et cetera, et cetera. And you cannot, there's no rational, there's no rational way to judge that. Like, you can't get inside the head of anybody and say, well, he doesn't care. We don't know. Right? We're judging this based on results. If the results don't measure up to your expectations, then it's easy to go back and say, well, it's because they don't care, without needing to provide any proof of that.
Well, and this is also the same people that we're talking about, the Dempseys, not necessarily the Dempseys, but definitely Donovan and Howard. They probably just spent the last 6 years talking these players up. They were the same ones saying golden generation and all that, and like overhyping. And then now that they haven't lived up to the expectations that they were projecting, they are now slandering them.
A
and
self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes.
Yeah, they have, but and in all fairness, they have hours of content to fill. And maybe they do have an hour and a half per week of reasoned analysis, and then they've just edited the most salacious parts. And then in the video clip, they're talking about these guys are just chasing clicks, while the whole point of the video was to catch clicks. It's very much like the Spider-Man meme of everyone pointing at each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And again, I know individually, a Weah, a Pulisic, a Mark Pulisic are not thinking in those terms. We need to say something extremely bombastic to get attention. But the producers are asking them questions meant to provoke those responses. And certainly there is the Pulisics feel aggrieved over all of this. They do. One of the other conclusions I had, and there are a couple of comments I want to get in here. So Chris Sow, in the UK, the amount of self-game overs that happen is so high. There are multiple advocate agencies intending to force clubs to have exit programs for academy players that are let go. I guess that's again, the churn of how we eat our own, right? England eats its own on a level we should not be aspiring to. Nate saying, I think there's a money thing going on here too. The previous generation never really got their cash, and they're having to watch a subpar team who earn more in one season than they did all their careers. There absolutely could be. And again, I wrote that it doesn't even matter if Donovan, who I think, again, is centered in that video, it doesn't matter if he's jealous of Pulisic. As long as people can claim that he is, because he's sounding like this, while Pulisic is making big money at Milan and playing in the Champions League and things that Donovan didn't do, although, of course, some of that is self-inflicted for Donovan because of his choice to come back from England, or Europe, rather, that's all that matters. People can say, oh, you're just jealous. And it sticks. It sticks because this is a different world, right? And that's good on one level because we want American players in places like Champions League clubs, but it does create this resentment, which, again, in the economy that we're in this hot take world that we live in, the natural place for them to go is they don't care like we did. They don't put it in, whatever. They don't bleed for us. And the last thing here, Christian Pulisic is not made for the media game. He is not. I think we just need to come to that conclusion and let it lie. He was obviously asked and willingly signed on to do the documentary. Probably there are people around him advising him to boost his brand. The World Cup's coming. This is your opportunity to take advantage of this. You're the biggest name in American soccer, all this stuff. But it's pretty clear he hates every single second of this. And when they put him on camera and he has to explain something or he has to respond, or he said that thing about the cop-out, he doesn't come off like a guy who's like, he doesn't come off like a guy.
No conviction.
He's not making an argument that's compelling in any way. He sounds like he's whining. He sounds like he's defensive. He sounds like he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to even share this part of himself. I don't think people watch this documentary and go, you know what? Christian Pulisic's such a great guy. I really know so much more about him. He's still just impossible to understand. And, from the very beginning, now he was 16 when he got dropped into the U.S. men's national team and dropped onto the biggest stage that we've got in this country for soccer. That's tough. But he has not improved. In 10 years on the scene, he has not improved in his handling of the media. And he just, again, maybe it hurts his ultimate income or his brand or whatever. But maybe go be a guy who just plays soccer. Maybe step away from all of this.
Yeah, one of the things that's most disheartening is that Mark Pulisic, the dad, still being involved with the embarrassment that was the Reina parents after the World Cup, and helicopter soccer parents being in the mix at the ultimate national team level. And Pulisic didn't see ooh, cringe, you don't want your parents getting involved with the interworkings of the national team. You're a senior standalone player, let your words speak for yourself and don't be meddling behind the scenes. And then here we go, didn't really learn that lesson. Maybe there was some sort of contract because Pulisic's dad is in the documentary, but you think that you maybe try to remove that, because having you instantly anyone in a locker room seeing that be like, well, why don't you go get your dad to come beat me up or something like that? You just leave yourself open for so much, being poke a pinhole in you.
We went through soccer dad nonsense with Berhalter and Reina, right? And I have had people, and I'll let you figure out who this person might be because I don't want to out anybody, but I've had people tell me, that was as much about Sebastian Berhalter as it was about Giovanni Reina. I don't know that to be the case, and that certainly wasn't how it went down publicly, but those are soccer dads being involved in their soccer kids' lives. And here again, we've got a soccer dad who just can't step away. I get it. You're very close to your kid. You want to protect him. That's your instinct. All of us who are parents have that instinct. Sometimes it is the better part of parenting is walking away, right? Walking away, letting them fight their own battles, particularly when they are 26, almost 27 years old, right? That's where we're at. I will say that Pulisic did not use cop out correctly. That's what David said. That is true. He did not use cop out correctly. I don't know what that is. But man, this is so it's like an echo of the thing that happened months ago.
Yeah.
Is just kind of coming back now. It's like you yelled into the Grand Canyon and now you're healing yourself back a couple of months later. And it's like, I didn't like it the first time. Why are we doing this again?
Maybe they heard my shot on our segment earlier in the week talking about all the different documentaries. I said, who is even watching the Pulisic? Maybe they heard me and they're like, we got to fire up the heat machine and get Mark Pulisic swearing onto our trailer to get the heat going for that. But I think our time has concluded for Morning Kick Around for the week. Thank you for everyone for tuning in, all the comments. Thank you, Duncan Riddle, for joining the show. I think Mr. Murray had an interesting fact. Tulsa in the USL, 12-game winning streak. So cool note there. Thank you for all the comments. You got anything before we dip out of here?
No, enjoy your Friday, enjoy some soccer. Don't think about all the drama that surrounds any of this stuff. Just watch the games, enjoy the magic and the passion on the field. And go Bournemouth is what I'll finish out with here.
Oh, boo that, man. I'm going to try to sneak away for a minute. It's 3:00. So we're going to go to the beach. Maybe my wife will take a nap and I'll get to sneaky watch the Liverpool victory over Bournemouth. But we shall see. Thank you, everyone, once again. And until Monday, everyone enjoy your soccer.